Make every room your favorite room with O'Neill's Home Furnishings in Bethany. From lazy boy recliners and stylish sectionals to bedroom sets and dining tables built to last, we bring comfort and style together. Plus, enjoy free delivery, setup, and takeaway within 60 miles. Financing is available, subject to credit approval. Visit o'neillshomefurnishings.com or call 660-425-7200. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. O'Neill's, where great style meets everyday living.
United Country Nelson Real Estate is your trusted place to go when looking to buy or sell. Licensed in 3 states, our team of experienced agents is ready to help you find exactly what you're looking for. Whether it's a home in town, wide open farmland, hunting and recreational property, or that perfect piece of land to call your own. With United Country Nelson Real Estate, you get the best of both worlds. Personal hometown service backed by nationwide exposure. Find us online at nelsonsoldit.com, and remember, no one knows the country like we do.
Well, welcome again to another one of our Sports Central interviews sponsored by Harrison County Community Hospital. Excited to have Coach Aaron Fitzpatrick on with us again. This time, though, last night we had a late night at the sports banquet. You're honoring your softball team that got second in state, but now we're talking varsity boys basketball. And so maybe just a minute, Coach, talk about that transition going directly from one sport, especially when you get all the way to the state championship and jumping into basketball almost immediately. Probably there definitely was some crossover there probably for a little bit of time.
Yeah, for sure. It was a quick transition. You know, we went from playing a state championship game on Saturday to I started basketball practice on Monday. So, kind of hit the ground running, I guess, already, and going to practice after school every day mode, just switching sports. But I will tell you, there was a day, I think it was the first week, I went to the All-State softball meeting, I think Friday of the first week of practice, and kind of got home right around. I was going to be a little late for practice, and I just texted Luke and Peyton and said, hey, can you guys run practice today? Because I'm going to take a night off. My brain needs at least one night break. So thankful for those guys. They do such a great job helping us out. And, they ran practice that night and gave me a night off. But like you said, it was a quick turnaround. But, if a quick turnaround means playing for a state championship game every year, I suppose I do that every single year.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, you guys jumped right into it. You get a home win over Platte Valley, right? A traditionally good team. You guys get that home opening win. Then you go to Smithville, Savannah, that tournament, and you end up seeing Smithville, Chillicothe, and Hogan Prep. You go 1-2, and Smithville, Chillicothe, you get losses there. Those are Class 4 teams, and not just Class 4 teams, Class 4 teams with good athletes, and those were tough matchups there in that Savannah tournament. Maybe just talk about what that week looked like for you all.
Yeah, I thought we got off to a really good start with the Platte Valley game. They're a pretty solid team. They run their stuff well. They're well coached. They do a really good job. I thought we played well, especially for the first night out. I was really pleased with our guys' effort. I was really pleased with what they did offensively and defensively. And then we go to the Savannah tournament. You mentioned Smithville. Smithville is just a really good team with a lot of really good athletes. They kind of did the same kind of stuff we do. They kind of run 5 out and spread it out, and they did a pretty good job. It's just a tough matchup. They're used to playing such high level of competition. They're on the north side of Kansas City, and it was definitely a test for us. We'll say that. But they're a really quality team. And then the Chillicothe game, I thought we competed really well. That was a game that was a 50-50 game. It was a game that we just made a couple errors down the stretch. We just made a couple mistakes. But I thought our guys competed extremely well that night. I thought we did. They got a couple inside post players that are pretty good athletes and pretty good players, and I thought we did a pretty good job on them. That was I think it was 55-50 final score game, and it was just a close game. I think we won the first quarter, and then they kind of won the 2 in between quarters, and then I think we split maybe the fourth quarter. So it was a game that could have gone either way. We just made a couple errors down the stretch that hurt us. So I was really pleased with the way we competed that game. And then the Hogan Prep game, what maybe wasn't the prettiest game we'll play all season. We didn't shoot the ball very well, and we struggled to kind of get into a flow, and it was kind of an ugly game. But I was really pleased to get out of there with a win. You go to the Savannah tournament; it's a really competitive tournament, and you go out there and get a win against some bigger schools and good competition. It was a good way to close that tournament out.
And so then you start off this week, and we broadcast streamed the game versus Trenton. First GRC conference game of the year here early before Christmas break. And it's a Trenton team that lost their top scorer from a year ago, but still a number of good players, especially the Miller kid, big-bodied down underneath. He ended up going 20, but you guys get the 67-61 win in overtime. And it was a fun game to call, great game. I'm sure sometimes on the bench it's not as much fun, maybe in the moment in a close game late. But you guys got great scoring, almost all 5-year starters in double digits. Jet Cornett with 18, Paxton Pack 16, Trevor Henry 14, Kel Taggart 11, Brody Templeton 8. And I think the amazing thing about that with Kel and Brody there at the bottom of the scoring, they each had 4 in overtime. So that's half of Brody's points came in that overtime session when you really needed it.
Yeah, I thought our guys played really well that night. We got off that game to a really good start. We shot it well early and we shot it well late. And kind of in between quarters, we were we got good looks. Sometimes they just didn't go down, in the middle quarters. But I was really pleased with the way we played. I thought we did a good job. You mentioned the Miller kid. He's a tough matchup for us. He's a big athletic kid, and he knocked down several 15, 16-foot jump shots and hit a couple threes. And he's just a tough matchup. Trenton's a quality team with some quality players, and I thought we did a really nice job. You mentioned the points, how they were kind of spread out. We had 4 of our 5 starters in double digits and Brody with 8. And, they did a really good job. We've done a pretty good job this year, I'd say, excluding the Smithville game. We just didn't have a lot of offensive flow that night. But every game other than that, I thought we've done a really good job being unselfish with the basketball and sharing the ball and at times passing up a good shot for a great one. And, they did a really good job executing the offense that night, I thought. I think we won. I think we out-rebounded that team, and they were probably a little bigger than us against Trenton. So that was really good. I thought we did a really nice job controlling the boards and kind of controlling the pace of the game for the most part. So I thought we did a really good job. I'll mention a couple plays that were really, really important. The Miller kid, you mentioned him. He had his 4th foul, and his 4th foul was a kind of push in the back whenever they had the ball on offense, and then his 5th foul was Brody Templeton took a charge and fouled him out of the game. And Brody did such a good job. Him and Trevor Henry did such a good job on Miller, and to take that charge in that situation to get their best player out of the game was just a huge swing of momentum in our favor. And then the second one was. We had the possession arrow for probably the last 4 or 5 possessions of the game. And, I told the guys if, probably 3 timeouts in a row or breaks in play, I told them, hey, the possession arrow is ours. If there's a loose basketball on the floor, we got to get on it. There was a loose ball late, and we had a couple guys jump on it and steal another possession for us. So, when you're playing in a close game, an overtime game or something that's going to come down to a couple possessions, you got to value those possessions. And our guys did such a good job executing the little things. And those are things you got to do to win games like that.
No, and you made some free throws late in that game as well. I remember broadcast. I actually talked to Kel Taggart's parents last night, and looking across as he's shooting free throws. I think you were down too. I think he made them to tie the game.
Yeah.
And looking at his mom with her hands over her face, watching her son shoot, and you just think of that anxiety. The pressure on a teenage kid to go to the line and to make those shots. Really big, and especially in a conference that. There are some teams that would probably be labeled at the top, but it's kind of open in that upper middle part of the conference. So for you guys to get that first win against what I think is probably going to be a good Trenton team that'll finish at least in the upper half of the conference is a big thing. And you're replacing just one senior, Cooper Johnson. And it becomes, Aaron, one of those you didn't have because Kel Taggart missed that second half of the season last year, didn't have a ton of depth on the bench last year. And you come in a little similar situation. You've got a few players that can come in and give you some spelled minutes. But Trevor Henry, looking at him, the leap he's taken from freshman to sophomore year to give you that presence in the post area.
Yeah, for sure. He's taken some big strides, especially just finishing around the basket. He did a great job against Trenton rebounding. He's done a pretty good job so far this year. Just you can tell how much he's grown. Like I mentioned, especially finishing around the basket. He's done such a good job. When he gets around the basket, left hand or right hand, either one, he's done a good job adding that to his game where he can finish with both hands and kind of go both ways on the bounce. And he's done a really good job improving in that way, especially. And the sophomore Paxton Pack. Last year I would kind of call him just an outside shooter. Man, he could really shoot it, but he didn't do a lot of inside scoring for us last year. And so far, 5 games in, he's done a really nice job getting to the basket, getting more shots in the paint. And that opens up our other guys where he can kind of kick it out and make some things happen other than just being able to shoot the three ball. He does shoot that at a really high rate, and he does shoot it really well. But man, those two young players have really expanded their games since last year.
Well, and we talked about it in this game, just the diversity of scoring and looking at your scoring overall. I think almost all 5 starters are at 10 or above. I think you've got, I think the lowest is like 8.9 or something like that here early in the season. So getting that kind of production out of all 5 of those guys that are starting is huge, because a team can't just come in and look at a Jet Cornett who got his 1,000th point and say, hey, we're just going to stop Jet Cornett and we don't care about the other 4 guys. You've got guys that can fill it up on any given night.
Yeah, I really like that balanced scoring. Last year a huge focus was paid to Jet last year. Everybody that was kind of who they game plan for, and he's done a good job improving too. He probably trusts the guys a little bit more this year, and they've done such a good job. It's really tough. It's really tough to I think we're going to be tough to match up with, just because we do have those guys that can put the ball in the hole and can score in a variety of ways. We have guys that can shoot from the outside. We have guys that can penetrate a little bit and finish around the basket. And so far I've loved their ability to move the ball and share the ball and be unselfish and get in transition. I've really liked how we've played so far on the offensive side of the ball. For sure, they've done a really nice job.
Okay, and so you get that first conference win. You're setting with a winning record now, 3-2. You go to Maryville tonight. We're recording this on Thursday here just afternoon, and then you get another conference game in Brookfield on Friday. And Maryville, obviously, that's going to be a tough matchup. A larger school, and traditionally they've been really good the last few years. But that Brookfield game on Friday, again, a chance to go 2-0 in conference. I know that they're a team that has one athlete. I think their leading scorer is at right around 20 per game. But a team, maybe talk about that matchup, what you've seen out of those 2 teams on film.
Yeah, Maryville is a tough matchup. They got some size, they got some speed, some kids that can shoot it. They got athletes all over the floor, and it's going to be a tough game. But those games are what prepares you to play our conference schedule, and they prepare you as you go through the season. So we're looking forward to it. It's another. We play Chillicothe. It's another MEC team, and the MEC is a really good basketball conference. They got the St. Joe schools with the Benton and Lafayette, and they just see really good competition throughout the year, and the MEC schools play at a high level. So when we match up with them, we know we're going to have a test, and it's going to make us better. Because you see teams that are really good, and they have a pedigree of winning. It makes you better when you compete against those teams. So we're looking forward to that matchup. And then tomorrow night going to Brookfield. I feel like CF, I've kind of drawn the short straw on this schedule, because I went to Brookfield, Marceline, Putnam, Milan, all in softball. I think I'll do it again in basketball. So we're off to a running start here on the bus trips. But yeah, going to Brookfield on tomorrow night. They're a quality team. Phoenix Jordan is a really good scorer who can score in a variety of ways, and they got some other kids that can play too. So it's a matchup where you got to go on the road. You got to make a long road trip and play against a pretty quality team. So it's going to be a tough matchup. And like I mentioned Phoenix Jordan, and we're definitely going to have to figure out a way to kind of keep him under control. And the other guys. We have to do a good job matching up and not letting them go on big runs. So 2 matchups we're looking forward to.
Okay, and I don't know that we'll talk before the Gallatin game next Tuesday, and because you and I we try to schedule on Wednesdays. Last night just didn't work out with the athletic banquet, but so that Gallatin game, they're 6-0. Obviously a really good basketball team. They've got a number of seniors on that team, guys that can shoot athletic. The one thing, I was talking to someone, they were asking me about Gallatin last night. I think you guys match up well with them, meaning they don't have like a 6'5" big guy that may give you fits. You're kind of similar as far as your length, your athleticism, your shooting. And that's the team that I would assume. I didn't look at any preseason stuff. I would guess they would probably have been picked at the top of the conference coming in preseason, and so far they're undefeated on the season. How do you see that game? Number one, you get them at home, which I think always helps the team, maybe with your shooting especially.
Yeah, for sure. They're a really quality basketball team. They were the preseason conference pick to win the conference. They were ranked number 1, and they're a quality team, and they're well coached. Tanner does a really good job with them, and But yeah, like you mentioned, they're a matchup that is probably a good matchup for us, just as far as like height and athleticism and speed and some things like that. But they're a quality team, and we're gonna have to play well. Like I said, we're playing them at home. But I like our shots, our chance, because we have balanced scoring. We have kids who can play and kids who can put the ball in the hole. And when you come into a game where you got good matchups across the board, you got to like your chances. So we're excited for that matchup. It's going to be a good old fashioned GRC rivalry game. Gallatin and South Harrison. So. We're looking forward to that game, and got a few days to prepare for it here. And these 2 games this week will help us do that.
Okay, and real quick in closing, Coach, your starters, obviously, those are your guys up with the scoring. But there's going to be times just a guy needs a breath. Maybe a guy picks up a foul early. And you did get a couple of those guys in. I noticed, especially off the bench in the first half against Trenton, like that last minute of a quarter to make sure someone doesn't pick up a second foul or a third foul. Maybe talk about your bench and how you're trying to mix them in with those 5 quality starters this year.
Yeah, for sure. They've done a pretty good job. They're kind of young and a little bit inexperienced, but they've done a good job. They're going to get better as the year goes on. Chewy Bravo and Marshall Holtzclaw and Cameron Pitzenbarger, they come off the bench and kind of fill in those guard spots a little bit. Jacob Cookson has come in and got some time. Josh Baker's got a little bit of time on the inside. They've done a good job coming in and doing what we need them to. Jacob Cookson, he is a very good defender on the post. He does a good job rebounding. Josh Baker, he's a pretty good offensive player as far as being able to know what he's doing while he's out there and do some good things for us. And Marshall, he just decided to join us a little late this year. We're happy to have him because he got a lot of varsity minutes last year. He's a pretty good ball handler and can knock it down from the outside. Chewy Bravo and Carmen have done a good job. Just being good role players. You got to have good role players that are willing to come in and do what it takes to win. Whether it's getting on the floor for a loose ball, playing hard, getting some rebounds, taking care of the ball. You just got to have those role players who are willing to step in and do what it takes to help the team out. And those guys have done a really good job of that.
All right. Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. Congratulations again on softball coming off that state second place finish, and good luck the rest of the season. And we look forward to talking to you next week, live streaming the game next Tuesday at home versus Gallatin.
Sounds good. Thanks, CF. Thanks for having me.